One more duty. One more duty. Guru Sarve Parikshada Bala Adishto Dio Ramerita Tikai Parju Pashata Rajendra Tannasto Tanaha Karuno Maitro Mahabhagavato Sura Uddhapen उनको उद्धवन बोल देते किम तो नहीं आपके मुक्तन can you give to the print also signals word by word ते तु तद्गौरवात् सर्वे त्यक्त क्रीडा परीक्षदाः बाला अदूषित धियो द्वन्द्वा रामेरिते हितैः पर्युपासत राजेन्द्र तन्यस्तार्दये क्षणाः तानाः करुणो मैत्रो महाभागवतो सुरः. Word to word meaning, translation and purport by Divine Guest A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki they to indeed tat gauravat from great respect for the words of Prahlad Maharaj, due to his being a devotee, sarve all of them, tyakta having given up, Krida Parichadaha twice for playing, Balaha the boys, Adushita Dhiyaha whose intelligence was not as polluted as that of their fathers, Dvandva in duality, Arama of those taking pleasure, the instructors, namely Shanda and Amarka, Irita by the instructions, Ihitaihi and actions, Paryupasata sat down around, Rajendra, O King Yudhishthira, Tat unto him, Nyasta having given up, Hriday Ikshanaha their hearts and eyes, Tan unto them, Aha spoke, Karunaha very merciful, Maitraha a real friend, Mahabhagavataha a most exalted devotee, Asuraha Prahlad Maharaj, although born of an Asura father. Translation: My dear King Yudhishthira, all the children were very much affectionate and respectful to Prahlad Maharaj, and because of their tender age, they were not so polluted by the instructions and actions of their teachers, who were attached to condemned duality and bodily comfort. Thus the boys surrounded Prahlad Maharaj, giving up their playthings, and sat down to hear him. Their hearts and eyes being fixed upon him, they looked at him with great earnestness. Prahlad Maharaj, although born in a demon family, was an exalted devotee, and he desired their welfare. Thus he began instructing them about the futility of materialistic life. Purport. The words Bala Adushita Dhiya indicate that the children, being of a tender age, were not as polluted by materialistic life as their fathers. Prahlad Maharaj, therefore, taking advantage of the innocence of his class friends, began teaching them about the importance of spiritual life and the insignificance of materialistic life. Although the teachers Chanda and Amarka were instructing all the boys in the materialistic life of religion, economic development, and sense gratification, the boys were not much polluted. Therefore, with great attention, they wanted to hear from Prahlad Maharaj about Krishna consciousness. In our Krishna consciousness movement, the Gurukula plays an extremely important part in our activities because right from childhood, the boys in the Gurukul are instructed about Krishna consciousness. Thus, they become steady within the course of their hearts, and there is very little possibility that they will be conquered by the modes of material nature when they are older. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् दर्शनांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरतसे नमः हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. So welcome everyone in today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. So especially like to seek blessings of His Grace Muktananda Prabhu, such a wonderful Vaishnava, the disciple of Srila Prabhupada. Like to seek his blessings. Hare Krishna. So he's always a constant source of inspiration for all of us, in spite of his such a elderly age. His enthusiasm is ever increasing, and he is always enthused in his devotional service. So every time you just meet him, interact with him, you get such solid dose of Krishna consciousness, a great source of spiritual mercy. So he's very fond of Srila Prabhupada, very fond of Prabhupada lectures. So that's very wonderful. So thank you, and also Buddha Prem Prabhu. So this chapter is actually very beautiful because in this chapter the qualities of Prahlad Maharaj is mentioned. So how Prahlad Maharaj, he has great determination for his devotional service, unwavering devotion for the Lord. You can see that in the previous chapter, the Hiranyakashipu terrorizes the universe. And this chapter also you find that how Prahlad Maharaj has been actually troubled by his father so many ways. But Prahlad Maharaj was completely fixed in devotional service to the Lord. He says, "No, I have used many ill names in chastising this boy Prahlad, and I devised many means of killing him. But despite all my endeavors, he could not be killed. Indeed, saved himself by his own powers, without being affected in the least by the treacheries and abominable actions." So, like that, Hiranyakashipu, ultimately, in spite of after attempting all different ways to kill Prahlad, finally he feels so frustrated. So he tried to kill him so many ways, and a lot of disturbance he was trying to create. But in spite of that, Prahlad Maharaj was completely peacefully practicing Krishna consciousness. So that's a very amazing quality of Prahlad Maharaj. So Prahlad Maharaj is actually Mahajana. And it is said that Mahajano Yena Gata Sapantha. So by actually studying the life of Mahajan, we can understand how we have to practice our devotional service. No? So devotional service becomes very easy if we can actually just study the life of great devotees, Mahajanas, and we simply follow the path which they have shown us. It becomes very easy for us to practice Krishna consciousness. And Prahlad Maharaj also had his own Mahajan. Who is that? Whom he was following? Narad Muni. And Narad Muni himself is instructed by another great Vaishnava. Who is that? Brahmaji. Brahmaji is also Mahajan. So he is also Mahajan. And he is following whom? The Lord. Directly Lord only. And Lord only is the propagator of religion. Brahman to Sakshat Bhagavad Paritam. From him only the religion is coming. Like that. You can see, this is the path. If we simply follow the path shown by the great acharyas, then our devotional service becomes easy.
Bali Maharaj follow
Bali Maharaj also follow. Eventually it will come. Bali Maharaj also will follow Prahlad Maharaj. He is also Mahajan. So you can see it's a line of Mahajanas. So this is what Srila Prabhupada is teaching us. That I was reading somewhere this one of the books of Prabhupada. They're saying this only, that our devotional service becomes so easy if you simply follow the path of Mahajanas. Like I was recently hearing Prabhupada lecture, there also he was saying that when Arjuna was there in the chariot, so there was flag where Hanumanji is there, you know that. They're saying that actually Arjuna was very prayerful. He was, understanding that how Hanumanji actually, because he served Lord Ram, by the mercy of Lord Ram, he became victorious. So Hanumanji was also present in the flag. So because of so Hanumanji was present on the flag. So Arjuna was very inspired by Hanumanji's wonderful example. And there Prabhupada makes a point. He says that one should always depend upon previous acharyas. One should always pray, he was saying. One should always pray to the previous acharyas, the great souls, for their strength. And by their mercy, we can become successful in our Krishna consciousness. He was saying like that. So, recently, His Holiness Bhakti Dev Damodar Swami Maharaj also had come. He was also mentioning the same thing, that we have to pray. And he was saying that we have to be very personal to the acharyas. He was saying that when he was offering Aarti to Prabhupada, then he was not just thinking, some kind of statue or something like that. No. He was saying Prabhupada is personally there. So when I was offering my heart to Prabhupada. So very diligently, consciously, he was offering. So previous acharyas are always there. So Hanumanji also, there was in the flag, there was Hanumanji was present, but Arjuna felt personally Hanumanji was there. And Hanumanji was personally there also. In fact, it was said that Hanumanji would make war cry, so that the enemies would become very much frightened by Hanumanji's war cry. He would make when he was sitting on the. Of course, he did not take the lead in fighting because he knew Arjuna is now the person who is supposed to take this role of fighting against the enemies. But Hanumanji was encouraging Arjuna there, like that. So we also need that kind of encouragement, that kind of support, and that kind of from the previous acharyas, from the great Vaishnavas, like that. So we have that fortune. So Prahlad Maharaj, we can see such unwavering devotion service. But what is the secret behind? The secret is that he has taken firm shelter of Narada. That's why this kind of unwavering devotion service is there. So sometimes we may see some great devotees, and we may become very amazed by devotional service, and then we think, oh, they are great devotees. I'm somewhere else, so it's fine. But if we actually know the secret, okay, how they have become such greatly advanced in their practice, and how they are so much having fixed devotion to the Lord. If we can study the secret, we need to understand actually those are the universal principles of devotion service. So, and we also have to follow the similar path, and we also will get that kind of blessings of the great souls, and we'll also become gradually fixed up. And so that's how we also attain perfection of our life. So the secret, even Srila Prabhupada says, the secret of my advancement is that, or secret of whatever I've done is nothing but I simply try to serve my spiritual master. So he also followed the great soul, like that. So you can see this is how the whole spiritual life is. Spiritual life is simply depending on the mercy of Krishna, depending on the mercy of acharyas, depending on the mercy of Guru and devotees. So this is a constant theme. A devotee very much realizes that actually he is completely helpless. He can do nothing. Nothing he can do. So devotee has this full realization, full conviction that nothing depends upon him. It's not that I can chant, I can read, I can perform devotional service. It's nothing like that. So devotee has full realization, full conviction that actually is completely I'm dependent on the mercy of the Lord. So what is my role? My role is only to recognize my insignificant position and recognize the glorious position what we have as being servant of Krishna, as being servant of the Lord. And we have a glorious purpose to serve him. This much only we have to know. I am part and parcel of Krishna, and I am an insignificant, tiny living entity. And the perfection of my life is to simply be engaged in devotional service, in the service of Krishna. That's the only thing. And Guru and Krishna will engage us. And when they engage us, they empower us. The empowerment means that is their energy only. It is not that something of ours. So their empowerment means what? Like suppose somebody is like some battery, it is charged and empowered. That means battery is charged. But from where? So it is getting plugged somewhere, right? That's how it is getting charged. This power is coming from somewhere else. The same way when a devotee is empowered, so that empowerment also is coming from Krishna. So devotee sees his advancement also as the mercy of Krishna. It is not his. This is suppose you become very advanced by chanting, by reading, by practicing Krishna. You become very advanced. But when you become very advanced, also you see that advancement also is nothing but Krishna's mercy. So he will use that advancement also in glorify Krishna, in serving Krishna more and more. Not for self-aggrandizement. That's not the devotee's attitude. So devotee always want to see that how can I serve Krishna more and more? How can I glorify Krishna more and more? This is what devotee always is concerned about. So you can see also Prahlad Maharaj here, though he is such a great devotee and he is able to perform such powerful devotional service without having any disturbance. So Prahlad Maharaj now he is again like Hiranyakashipu wanted him to again being taught by Shandana. Again he was put in his school, and now he's going to preach. He's going to preach his classmates. And actually I have read this recently, this whole chapter, 6th chapter, on the Narsimhadev Chaturdashi. So there, myself and Mani Prabhu and some more devotees are there. We just read that whole chapter in 1 hour. Cut, we read it. It's a beautiful chapter. The way Prahlad Maharaj speaks, and Prahlad Maharaj speaking such powerful philosophy. A small child, 5 years old child, but he is talking about the futility of material existence. He's telling that how the Grahamedi, the attached householder, he becomes completely entrapped, in the illusion of in this illusory relationship of wife, children, and he becomes completely attached to some gratification, and he actually is fallen in this deep dark well. And how can he come out of this kind of materialistic household life? So Brahma is actually understanding the plight of materialistic life, how it is so entangling, and the person becomes completely hopeless to come out like that. So only by the mercy of a great soul, one can actually come out from this precarious situation, being trapped in this material existence. So Brahma very beautifully explains the plight of the materialistic life. And he also does a lot of calculation that how the materialistic, in materialistic life, the person simply wastes his time. in childhood, in old age, in just being attached to the woman in the young age, and like that, his whole life is simply wasted. So much. So he gives a very thorough calculation, and there is hardly any time for devotional service. He says that there's no time for devotional service. So Prahlad Maharaj is 5 years old, but he has experience, of the wisdom of a very matured person. He's a matured person, though his age is 5. The Prabhupada said that in Krishna consciousness, so nice that 8-year young boy can have the wisdom of 80-year-old man. It's possible, and we can see from Prahlad Maharaj's example also. So, so Prahlad Maharaj is now beginning to preach. He's preaching. He's going to preach now. So he's preaching. He preaches to his classmates. And so can you imagine, like, one of the definition, like I was hearing, so Srila was talking about Titikshva Karnikaha, Ajata Shatra Shanta, Suvidam Sarvadehinam, Gyatama, Shanti Pritchati. No, sorry, Suvidam Sarvadehinam, Sadhava Sadhu Bhushanam. He says that. So he says about that how the living, the devotee of the Lord has all these qualities. Of course, the primary quality is, Ananya Bhavena. He worships the Lord with the unwavering devotional service he has. Bhakti Kurvanti, Bhakti Kurvanti Yadrinam says that. So with determination he performs devotional service. That is the primary qualification, the primary symptom of a devotee. But the secondary symptom is mentioned this, Shiva Karnika. So there Papa was mentioning very beautifully. I was hearing one of the lectures. He says, a devotee is extremely tolerant. What does it mean? There may be many disturbances. Many disturbances may be there. From within, from without, so many disturbances will be there. But a devotee remains tolerant. He is not disturbed. So their disturbances are there, but he doesn't, he actually tolerates that. And then Prabhupada says, not only that, even though there are disturbances, he has to tolerate, but he is not just tolerating, he is actually compassionate. He is helping others. Sometimes, some troubles are coming, we become defensive, right? Somehow to tolerate. And then we may not do anything. But then he is also compassionate. He's thinking about how others should be given, how they should be delivered. He's thinking about others' welfare. So, Titikshva, then immediately Karnika. Karnika comes. This Karnika. So I was very much amazed the way Prabhupada connected this two. So the devotee is not only compassionate, but he's also very much compassionate. Like our Jesus Christ, when he was getting crucified, but he was not just tolerating, he was also praying. Haridas Thakur, he was not just tolerating, he was also praying. Prahlad Maharaj, not just tolerating, he was praying for the deliverance of his father, and he's also preaching now, you can see. So this is amazing. Like once when I was in my college, so there was one suicide case. So a boy had committed suicide. He jumped from some building, some 4th-story, 7th-story building, and he had Kanthimala in his neck. So, and he had a book, Victory Over Death and all, in his room. So when investigation happened, they found these books, and they started having allegation on the voice and this our center. These Hare Krishna people have given some books. By that he committed suicide. They started telling some kind of video also they made. There were some envious elements, so they made some videos also showing different things. All cooked up things. They're doing something, and they're while they're preaching, people are becoming somewhat like this. That their mind is getting manipulated, and they're committing suicide or something like that. Something like that they are trying to project. So when this happened, so in our voice, a lot of difficulty happened. Like we had to immediately shift the boys to the hostel. And when boys shifted to hostel, then they're also having troubles because in hostel the environment is not so conducive. So they are also facing troubles. It was very tough time in the boys. And then we had to really, and we were thinking like anytime police may come to our voice, many, like that situation was there. So that time, the whole thing, we were like very defensive. We just trying to see how we can like safeguard ourselves, because police may come and, and we went to director also. We, tried to tell our situation and everything. All that happened. Some many of our voice they came. So a lot of this was going on. and Raju also was constantly guiding how to tackle this. And he was telling that anytime, you can call and take guidance for this, because it's a very important thing going on. So a lot of mail and phone calls and all this was happening. So then I received one call from Radhesham after some days. And he says, hey, Raghav, not Raghav, that time my name was different. Then he said that, hey, what happened? What about those boys we were cultivating? Then I was thinking, I forgot only, because we had already preached, some Discover Yourself courses happened, and those boys were like, kind of conducting mantra meditation circles, chanting every day something. We were doing some cultivation, but that kind of abruptly got paused because of this issue. But Radhesham, while dealing with the issue, also is thinking about, you're thinking, those boys, we have to see this thing, see where are these boys and how we can further take them ahead. So I was thinking, my Lord, this thing never came in my mind only. I was thinking about somehow we have to just save ourselves, that's all. But he was thinking not that. That year also he was thinking about preaching. So it was really, and some boys came actually from that preaching also. I think there's one devotee, Ram Vilas, I think so, from that batch only he came. So he is now initiator also. I think from that batch only. Mostly I'll confirm with him. But the point is, that devotee are thinking. Same way, in ISKCON also you find that, Prabhupada, when he came, a lot of difficulties and troubles for his personal life. It was not easy at all. And so many opposition. If you read Lilamrita, there tens and tens of oppositions came to Prabhupada. Like so many attempts he made, all failure. So many problems like that. And but even in spite of all that troubles and attacks and everything, Prabhupada was going on with his preaching. That is Karuna, Karunika, Titikshva, Karunika, like that. So you can see this is also a very important quality of a devotee. A devotee is not just simply trying to safeguard himself amidst the difficulties, but he's actually thinking of how can I give this message to more and more people, because he lives only to spread the holy name. So Muktantru is going to tell me the line which they say that the Vaishnavas live and die for what, like that. There's a kind of saying, right? You remember that whole, many devotees have memorized it.
Vaishnavas die to live and try to spread the holy name.
Yeah, I think this is shorter what you said. It's a little longer. Holy name around, right? I just typed it. But it's very nice verse. Very nice. Yeah, he reasons ill who says that Vaishnava die. When thou art living still in sound, the Vaishnavas die to live, and living try to spread the holy name around. See, this is how the definition of Vaishnava is. Peed padai dekhi na. That is a Gujarati poet. He also mentioned it. So this is the standard of a Vaishnava, Karunika. So the love of God, when manifests in the heart of a devotee, so it gets actually manifested in the form of compassion towards other living entities. That is the love of a Vaishnava. As the love of God is getting manifested, it automatically there will be compassion for other living entities. That will happen. He reasons ill who says that Vaishnava die when thou art living still in sound. So it is, somebody says that Vaishnava has died. That is not correct. And thou art living still in sound, because he has preached. So still he is living in the sound. The Vaishnavas die to live. They die to live. So and living try to spread the holy name around. So they like Radhesham was saying once, I'll be dead and gone. And there's so many lectures, but nobody will hear. So he was saying that I should have to write many books. He was thinking, because then that way I have to make some content and all that, so that the preaching can go on like that. It should be things should be available like that, more and more. So this is how Vaishnavas are always thinking. They know that the Vaishnavas die to live, so they are ready to die so that they can their efforts of the parampara and all should continue. The preaching should continue like that. And while living, they will completely absorb themselves in spreading the holy name around. So this we have to know. So we cannot waste our time, because our time is very precious. We cannot allow the disturbances, the troubles, the difficulty, the conflicts coming in our life to waste our time to do this most important activity of spreading the holy name. So whatever, that's why Papa said, work cooperatively and spread the holy name. That's a very important thing. And of course, you have to tolerate, all these different kind of disturbances and troubles will be coming. So can you see how Prahlad Maharaj's spirit here? Prahlad Maharaj is just being threatened so badly by his, great demoniac father, and everything was against him. But now he's taking the preaching mission. Can you imagine? So he was actually, threatened for his devotional service, and now he's going to give such thorough lessons to his classmates. such a great threat. The further threat, even in spite of getting so much of trouble, still he is going on preaching. You can see. So you can see that how Vaishnavas are completely fearless in his attempt of glorifying the Lord like that. Haridas Thakur also we can see completely fearless. So that time, whole Hindus are also against him, Muslims are also against him, but he was completely fearless. He just went on with his devotional service and preaching like that. So here we can see. Let us see some lines of the purport. So he's saying that Prahlad Maharaj, the children are very much affectionate and respectful to Prahlad Maharaj. They were very respectful because Prahlad Maharaj had such qualities. He was very, very compassionate and he was so absorbed in devotional service. So, and these boys were also innocent. They were not so polluted. So that was one advantage, that even though they were trying to, Sunday and Amarka were trying to teach them very bad ways, like political things and all that, diplomatic things, political things. But these children, because of their tender age, they could not digest all that. It's good in that sense. No? So that's how they were somewhat innocent compared to many people who get, when they become old or little elderly, the things get set in. So it becomes sometimes difficult. Of course, still Krishna consciousness is very powerful. Somebody can still come out of all his misconceptions and prejudices. He can become a devotee. But it is very important that we have to know this in tenderhood, in the tender childhood time is a very favorable time because there is some kind of innocence. So these boys, they were having some kind of innocence, even though they were surrounded by demoniac vibrations, but they were still having some innocence because of that age. And and then says the boys surrounded Prahlad Maharaj, giving up their playful things and sat down to hear him. So, and their hearts and eyes being fixed upon him, they looked at him with great earnestness. So this was the fortune of all those friends of Prahlad Maharaj also, that they could have Prahlad Maharaj as his classmate, who was a great Mahajan. And because of hearing from Prahlad Maharaj, even they were also getting transformed, you can see. So he was a devoted devotee and he desired their welfare. Thus he began instructing them about the futility of materialistic life. So Prabhupada is saying that children being of tender age were not as polluted by materialistic life as their fathers. And therefore, taking advantage of the innocence of his class friends, he began teaching them about the importance of spiritual life and the significance of materialistic life. Sometimes we also go for preaching to innocent boys, like tender, just like we also have this preaching program for undergrads. Undergrads are like 18, 19. Of course, now at the age of 18, 19, also people are becoming a lot of getting corrupt mind because of too much of exposure to social media and all that. But it's still relatively earlier you try to preach, more you have a chances to have them getting much more deeper impact of Krishna consciousness. Relatively like that. Of course, Krishna consciousness is powerful. At any age, one can take it up. But relatively, if you see, the more the person is younger in his age, there is a likelihood of more innocence and more receptivity towards Krishna consciousness. It's a general principle like that. So, so he's saying that all the teachers, Shanna and Amarka, were instructing all the boys in the materialistic life of Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. The boys were not much polluted. Therefore, with great attention, they wanted to hear from Prahlad Maharaj about Krishna consciousness. So they were not so polluted. That's why they could have much more receptivity. That's what is being mentioned here. In our Krishna movement, the Gurukula plays an extremely important role. That's why Prabhupada being the point of Gurukula. Because at that age, if they're given the solid impression of Krishna consciousness, then their heart has such great impression. So this will help them in future. So there is a very little possibility that they will be conquered by the modes of material nature when they are older. So they will be, they will find such kind of spiritual asset with them because they have already got such very powerful childhood impressions of Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada mentioned about his own childhood. That when he would get up in the morning, then he'd find his father, God Mohan Dey, ringing bells, and worshipping the deities. And that's how they would get up, Prabhupada and his sister, like that. So that was very powerful. Prabhupada himself says. And he says about his spiritual master also, that he also had that fortune to be born in a devotee family, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And even he also had got that kind of wonderful childhood experience like that. So in ISKCON, this is also one of the very important area where we have to really see that how the children of our community can also be very much nicely given this Krishna conscious culture and training right from the beginning. So if this can happen, then our society can get much more firmness, because you can see all these children from beginning only, if they are made Krishna conscious, they have this impressions and culture, so they can become very powerful devotees, very powerful devotees. It's possible like that. So that's why we have to also see that this area, some devotees, of course, there are already some work going on, but this is something which we have to see that how this can also happen in our community, in our ISKCON. That children, they should be given much more attention and Krishna conscious culture and training, so that they can become a very valuable asset. Just within that only, Prabhupada even started Gurukul even those days also. But there is always some kind of challenge, but this is something very important area, and this has to be worked on like that. So one thing I was thinking, that here is writing that because the boys were not much polluted, so therefore with great attention they wanted to hear. So the degree one is not got polluted, to that degree one can hear also with great attention. This is what Prabhupada is mentioning this point. But Prabhupada also says one place that even if suppose somebody is very impious, he is very polluted, but some or the other, because of some good fortune, he gets the association of a sincere Vaishnava, a very great Vaishnava. And if he some or the other pays attention to the sound vibration or to what the pure Vaishnava is teaching, so then he says that if he gives attention, then he can nevertheless become purified, and that's how he can become perfect eventually, like that. So in that sense, there is no disqualification. So even though one may be having not a very good this thing, but it still is possible. So I'll just read. This comes in first canto, I think. First canto, I think second chapter and last verse. So he says a nice point. This one. I think third chapter. Third chapter. Says yeah. So what he says that one should hear with rapt attention from the real person, and he can at once realize the presence of the Lord in every page of Srimad Bhagavatam. So one should hear with rapt attention. So when you hear with rapt attention, then you can realize the Supreme Lord at every page of Srimad Bhagavatam. The secret of knowing the Bhagavatam is mentioned here. So one has to hear with rapt attention, like that. Every word has to be taken in with great respect. And then Prabhupada says, no one can give rapt attention who is not pure in mind. That's what happens. So when there's so much of contamination, then you cannot hear properly. Attention is not there. Because mind, so many things are going on. So it's become difficult to pay attention. So he's saying that. That's what I was saying, that no one can give rapt attention who is not pure in mind. And no one can be pure in mind who is not pure in action. So because actions are not pure. That's why mind is also not pure. That's why we have to rectify our action. And no one can be pure in action who is not pure in eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. That means four regulative principles one has to follow very nicely. And one has to regulate his activities and sanctify it. Sanctioned, sanctified, and regulated. One should, this is no one can be pure in action who is not pure in eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. So understood the point, no? So one has to become pure in eating, sleeping, mating, and fearing. How one can be pure in eating? By having Krishna Prasadam. Completely restricting to vegetarian diet, which is offered to the Lord, which is called purity. Then sleeping not for 10 hours, 12 hours, 15 hours, just nothing, so I just sleep. No, sleeping only so that we can rejuvenate our body to be able to serve with that purpose. And fearing, some roti kapda makan, some basic facilities may be needed for our survival. We may accept that, but not trying to accumulate, prayas, and should not try to over endeavor to accumulate things and in the name of having security. So fearing, the defense, that should be simple. And mating, sex life. So one can, if somebody is wanting to get married, he can marry religiously and can have sex life only for procreation of getting Krishna conscious children and raising them in Krishna conscious manner, like that. So that's also this. So that's how if eating, sleeping, feeling, and mating is made pure. Then what happens? Then one's actions will be pure, and once actions are pure, then one's mind can be pure. And then once mind is pure, then one can give rapt attention, like that. So this is the whole thing. Then Prabhupada makes a one, there's one clause. What Prabhupada says, but somehow or other, if someone hears with rapt attention from the right person, at the very beginning, one can assuredly see Lord Shri Krishna in person in the pages of the Bhagavatam. Then he makes a clause. That is the power of Krishna conscious process. If somehow or the other, somehow or the other means, okay, even though you may be having all those disqualifications before, but somehow or other, if someone hears, if someone can hear with rapt attention, some other, like we have this example of Taku Bhagat. You know the example, the story. He was a great, robber. He would rob everything. Robber, he was great robber. Taku. So he happened to sit in the Bhagavatam class, and he heard the descriptions of Krishna, and very rapidly he heard somehow or the other because he had interest in stealing. So the descriptions of ornaments were going on, jewels and diamonds and gold necklaces and everything was going on, ankle bells. He became so interested, and he was hearing with rapt attention. So Prabhupada was saying somehow or the other. So he was hearing with rapt attention. See, but it happened to be Bhagavatam, description. So that was very purifying. So he took it very seriously, and then he came to Bhagavatam speaker at the end, and he says, tell me, tell me where is this, where I'll find this boy. Then he said, Hare, this boy you'll find in Vrindavan. And then he was completely scared, and he came to know he's a highway robber. He was a little scared, and he was also not sure whether he'll really find Vrindavan or not. But he's a good soul. He was a sincere devotee. The only thing is, he might not be so much like very, very God. May not be. But at least he was having some faith. So he said, "Oh, you'll find him Vrindavan." And then he said, "Okay, where is Vrindavan?" I said, "Okay, Google like this, and we'll find Vrindavan. Go." And then he was saved. Okay, that person is gone. And this person was frantically going and searching. Where is Krishna? Kana, 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 Krishna. Where is person searching for him? Why? Because he want to get the ornaments. And then he went, and finally, he actually gets the darshan of the Lord. So Krishna comes, and he did not realize this Krishna. He says, "Okay, so you are that person, you are that black boy, you have that ornaments, okay." And then he also wanted to take out those ornaments and all that. But actually, because of coming in touch with Krishna, he became so purified. His heart became so pure that he did not want to take. Actually, Krishna was giving. He said, "No, no, no, I don't want. It is good in you only." So because his heart became pure, so his exploitative mentality went away. Then he wanted to see Krishna being beautified by God. In fact, Bhushanam Bhushanangam, it is said. Those ornaments had beauty because of Krishna. So that did not look attractive also. When he trying to give, that was not looking attractive because the ornaments are attractive only on Krishna. So the ornaments were actually getting the value because of being in touch with Krishna. And because he got that purification, so he wanted to actually serve Krishna. Or not, he wanted to exploit. So he became completely purified. You can see now this person had no pure mind, correct? No pure actions, no pure eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. But how could he get to see Krishna? Because somehow the other he heard attentively. So this process of hearing is so powerful. Even though one may come with all bad qualification, but if you can simply sit and hear with rapt attention, and then you hear it, then you will conquer the Lord. Lord will come. Like it says. That's the verse also. ज्ञाने प्रयास उदपासन मंत्रैव जीवन्ति सन्मुखरितां भवदीय वार्तां स्थाने स्थिता श्रुतिकतां तनुवान् मनोभे या प्रायसो अजितो पितैस्त्रिलोक्यं. They saying this only that even by speculation and all that, ज्ञाने प्रयास, you will get there's very hardly any possibility to actually any possibility of having the audience of the Lord. People cannot get. But it says, if only you can just sit and hear. With your body, mind, and heart, you just be there, where the katha is going on, where the Bhagavatam is being spoken, where the glories of the Lord are chanted. Simply hear. So if you hear, then you can actually immediately get the wonderful realization. Then you can see Krishna. You can see Krishna very soon. So there is one verse called Takshanat. Anybody knows? So this verse, Dharma proditakaitavatta paramo nirmatsaranam satam vedyam vastam atrvastu shividam tapatrayonmulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamanikrite Kimva Pararishwaraihi Sadyo Hridya Vrudhyate Tekritabhi Shushubhis Takshanat. What is saying Takshanat? He says that as soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of the Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within his heart. As soon as means as soon as you hear attentively. Just somehow the other pay attention. Then immediately Krishna is installed in your heart, like that. So Prabhupada says also in one lecture very beautifully. Let me see if I can locate that. And he says about so he says that says that in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, it says Srimad Bhagavatam is so nice that simply by reading, immediately one can capture the Supreme Lord within his heart. Sadhya viruddhate, so it should be takshanat. Takshanat means immediately, provided if he is little willing. That's all. Shubhi, that is the word. So our whole program is that Krishna is very kind, always kind upon us. But we have to become little willing to take Krishna's favor. What is the example? My Guru Maharaj used to give very nice example. I remember. Just like here is a well. Somebody has fallen down. He's crying, please get me out, get me out, get me out. Now if somebody drops, I mean to say tight, strong rope and asks, all right, you catch this rope tightly, I will get you out. And if he says, no, that I cannot do, then how he will be saved? That much endeavor he must have to catch the rope. Then he will be lifted up immediately. So this Bhagavatam is, the master Bhagavatam is like the rope. So if we feel that helplessness, that I am fallen in this well of illusion, the deep dark well of materialistic life. So let me hold on to this rope. This much, that willingness has to be there, that's all. So with that mood, my spiritual master also was telling this point, I was hearing that when you are hearing Bhagavatam class, we have to have that this is a rope. So if you're down, he was giving the example, if you're drowning in the ocean and some rope is given, then how will you catch? Same way when you're sitting in Bhagavatam classes, when hearing the Krishna Katha, the glories of the Lord, so one should have that same mood. Same thing in very well while chanting also, while hearing the holy name also. So that mood should be there. That's a rope and I have to catch hold. So it's like taking shelter of that sound vibration, shelter of Krishna in the form of sound vibration, in the form of message of Bhagavatam. So very tightly, one has to catch hold. Like this is my saving grace. Because all other shelters are false shelters. I am trying to hold on to the wealth, trying to hold on to property, trying to hold on to so much of materialistic gratification, and trying to feel some kind of security, and thinking that this will save me. No, nothing of that. No, nothing of that. No job, no wealth, no family members, no relatives. Nobody can save except Krishna. So Krishna is coming in the form of holy name, in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. So one will hold on to that because this is my real shelter. All other are false shelter. Bhagavatam says all the shelters are like stone boat. They are surely going to drown. Stone boat, it is said, other shelters. So Prabhupada is saying that so we have to do that simply to surrender. So Dharman Parityajya, Krishna is saying. Then everything is there. That is the only, because the rope is there. Now we have to catch it. Now if you don't use your independence to catch it, then how can you expect to be lifted? That much you have to do. Because you have got, you are living, you are not a dead stone. You have got the independence. Therefore, you have to capture Krishna, and Krishna will do everything. Then Krishna will do everything. Simply you have to capture that Krishna, from this day I am yours. Whatever you like, you do. Bhaktivinoda Thakur also is saying this. Manasa deho geho, jo kichumora, arupilutva pade, nanda keshora. So the Takshanat is a very amazing word, because it is telling that immediately. So Prabhupada says another place. He says, okay, but in whose heart he becomes locked up? Kritibhi. Kritibhi means those who are pious. Those who are sinful, they cannot. Kritibhi Shubhi. Two things. He must be pious. The piety, as soon as he surrenders. But how the piety comes? The secret. Just like Krishna says, piety. It is not that I have to become pious first of all, then I shall understand Srimad Bhagavatam. That is not the message. Oh, I have to first become pious. Then I can hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Then I'll understand Bhagavatam. No. How? So it will take long time if you think like that. No. it will take takshana in a second. In a second. How? Simply by surrender. As soon as you surrender, immediately you become pious. See? As soon as you surrender to the lotus feet of the great Vaishnava and you hear from him, immediately you become pious. So somehow or the other you have to pay attention. That is the way you become pious. Prabhupada said this also. No? You simply come and hear Krishna Katha, you become pious. No, that's a no. Tesham tvantagatam papam jananam punya karmanam. Te dvanda mohane muktam bhajate vam dirvata. He said. So how you get that determination, devotion service? When you become pious, when you have done with all sinful actions, sinful activities, all the sinful actions are exhausted. But that will happen how? Is it like I am supposed to wait till my all sinful reactions are over, then I will perform devotional service with determination? No. Actually, you surrender. Then it's called Sarva Dharman Parityajya. Mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarvabhyam mokshayami ma shusha. If you take shelter of the Lord, then Lord will free us from all sinful reactions. And how to take shelter of the Lord? By taking shelter of the great Vaishnava, by taking shelter of the message of Bhagavatam from a great Vaishnava, like that. So when we take shelter like this, taking shelter of the holy name, taking shelter of the holy fame of the Lord, that is the surrender. And if you surrender, then takshana, immediately. Immediately it will happen. As soon as you surrender, Krishna, I was misled so long. Now today I am surrendering unto your lotus feet. Now if you like, you kill me or protect me as you like. Then everything is all right. That is being mentioned that way. So it says, I'll also stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki. So any questions, any comments, we can discuss 5-10 minutes we have. Actually we have 9:30, but if you have any questions or comments, we can discuss them. उद्धव प्रेम को हमें कुछ बताएंगे. उद्धव प्रेम को कुछ बताएंगे हम. कुछ तो रिफ्लेक्शन बताएंगे. कुछ तो ऐड करेंगे. कुछ तो उनका साक्षात्कार थोड़ा सा बताएंगे. वो भागवतम पढ़ने में उनका बड़ा रुचि है. मैं कई बार से आता छुप के देखता हूँ तो भागवतम पढ़ते रहते हैं. मैंने देखा उनको कई बार आश्रम में. उनका एकदम he made very good schedule. He reads Bhagavatam and all quite get interest. So he has a very regulated life. So any comment, any questions? Raw Prabhu, Muktavendra Prabhu.
Good class, what I could hear.
What you can hear. Okay, sorry. Any questions or comments? Sorry, not questions, comments, any comments and corrections, anything? Aman Prabhu, no, you can do. Okay. You want to ask any question? Muktan Prabhu, yourself, you want to say? Oh, okay. Okay. Aman Prabhu, you want to say something? Just tell one point as a reflection. Sorry.
You told how initially how eagerness to hear and
Thank you, Prabhu.
how Prahlad Maharaj faced difficulties in his childhood, how he preached. Even his father did not cooperate. So how his intentions and how devotional service can change lives. Then you mentioned how we can sail our boat through the path of bhakti. And you mentioned the rope we can have. So Bhagavatam is the rope we have to take support of. Mostly that.
Intention, what you say in the beginning? What?
So, like Prahlad Maharaj has intentions to preach, even if he was smaller age, 5 years old. So his intentions was to purify himself and others, the humility and compassion for others. So that point was.
Yeah, he was tolerant. He was tolerant of his own difficulties. And not only that, he was also eager to help others while having all the difficulties. Eager to help others also. Yes.
And to sail and to proceed in devotional life, this rope, like Bhagavatam is the rope we can catch into and then we can sail.
So discussing about the point that how the children are generally innocent, so Krishna consciousness is easy for them to be taken up. But there's no disqualification, even though somebody may not be having very good background coming. But some of the other, if he pays attention, then one can actually get purification. Takshana, like you said. As soon as you surrender. Like Robert Pro has come now, he's 39. So now he may be having different background, so many things in life, different things. But now when he's come to Krishna. And he says, Krishna, I was wandering in so many varieties of ways in this world. I had no shelter of yours. I was confused, I was bewildered, I was wandering. But now I have come to you. Please accept me. Please engage me in devotional service. Perfect. His life is perfect. Nothing to worry about anything, what has been lacking. No, we don't have to worry. We have to simply take now very seriously Krishna consciousness. We have to very sincerely, honestly, have to practice like that. When you do that, Krishna's whole mercy, whole parampara, Krishna, Jagannath, Baldev Subhadra, Gaur everybody is in our favor. We have to very honestly and sincerely just tell Krishna, I'm yours. Krishna, please help me. Please accept me. I'm here. And then hear Srimad Bhagavad, like Robert Pr has great eagerness to hear. I really appreciate. Whenever there's any class, any session, he'll immediately sit and he will start hearing. It's very good. So we should just hear. By hearing, we are getting purified. We are becoming pious. We are becoming more and more exalted, advanced in Krishna consciousness. Just by hearing. That is surrender actually. That's the beginning of surrender. The surrendering to the most important process of hearing and chanting. So that's how it is. Very good. You have some points to share?
I don't know how it relates to what you were saying, but like what's in my head is like the point of practice isn't to be a perfect person. You know what I mean? Like it's not possible for us to be perfect. Everybody's gonna make mistakes. Like that comes up a lot in all the readings I do. You know what I mean? So I think it's like the point of practice is to get better every day. So like you were just saying, it's like from what I see of myself, coming from a non-spiritual background and adopting the practices and everything like rules, like we were talking about this morning, you know what I mean? How you were like kind of going over the rules of the temple, and it's like even the other day about going to the bathroom, you know what I mean? Like about the ceremony about after going to the bathroom, you know, and like relieving yourself, we'll say. You like slowly learn things, you know what I mean? So it's like you can't just drop everything on somebody all at once and be like, do all of this immediately. You know what I mean? It's and like that's what I think what I've been struggling with is like the right sleep, the right eat, you know what I mean? Like I felt like I overate yesterday and trying to figure out the sleep schedule that works with like the timing of everything, you know what I mean? Because some days, like when there's festivals, like I was up till like 11 o'clock the other day, you know what I mean? And it takes me like 2 days to get back into a routine of this is my sleep schedule now, you know what I mean? So it's like it's almost like a sine curve where like the line I'm trying to get to this straight even line of like pure thought and attention, like you were saying, but it's like there's days where it's up and there's days when it's down.
That's that is natural. So that's called unsteadiness. But what is the main thing when you're having this kind of unsteadiness is you hook to the mainstream program of Krishna consciousness, that is hearing and chanting. So we may be having all those difficulties in terms of our schedules, in terms of our habits, something may be there. So it is like switching off the fan. The fan is on, you switch off the fan. Still for some time fan goes on. Correct? It may not stop immediately. But you have stopped the supply. Power supply is stopped. So eventually it's going to stop. Same way, all our previous conditionings and all we have cultivated for many, many lives. Our habits, conditioning, thought process, right? But right now we are having good input. We are cutting off from all those materialistic supply. We are having a spiritual supply now. So the previously what we have done some kind of investment, that lingering movement is there. But it will stop in some time. We don't have to worry about it. So we have to tolerate that. Because of that, sometimes we may be corrected, we may be judged, we may be misunderstood, we may be sometimes strongly told some things. We don't have to worry about it. We have to know that I'm on the right process, I'm in the right process, I'm in the right guidance, and I'm doing the right things, and I'm struggling sincerely. Once you are doing that, you don't have to be discouraged. You should not be discouraged. You should continue. You should go on nicely practice like that. Because Krishna consciousness is not about like condemning, it's about encouraging. Because all of us have defects. And we all have our previous conditionings and conceptions and prejudices and all that is there. But once we come to Krishna consciousness, we are putting ourselves in the program of purification. Right? So what we have to do, we have to do our part, surrender. Surrender to the process of hearing and chanting. Surrender to the devotee instructions. And surrender without grudges. Means there will be some difficulty coming, some kind of trouble may be there, somebody may be correcting us, but we should not keep grudges. We should know that they are my well-wishers. And there will be some inconvenience. We may not like the way they correct us. Sometimes we may not like the way, sometimes people may put us on, hey, do this, do that. We may want some space. These things, difficulties we may face. But these difficulties we are facing because we have previous baggage. That's why you're facing that difficulty. So we have to recognize. Just like a person who has come who has a lot of pus in his body. When doctor diagnoses, he says you have a lot of pus. And he takes the boil and he presses, you'll feel pain. Right? So, but if you be with the doctor, if you spend time and you take the medication, you may feel pain while being with the doctor, when the doctor is treating you. But you're getting relieved actually from your disease. So same way when you come to Krishna consciousness, we are coming with our disease state. So when here also devotees are like doctors. They're giving instructions, do this, don't do that, and all so many things they may say. Because it's like intense care unit, ICU of Krishna consciousness. It's called like ICU of Krishna consciousness. Because it is intense care unit, which is going to revive you very swiftly. It's a very powerful process. But you have to tolerate the inconveniences what we may face in the course of purification, in the course of treatment. Because our mind may not like. Our false ego may become disturbed. So these things we have to tolerate. And we should not become inimical to devotees. We should not think bad about them. Oh, they are finding fault with me. I find fault with them. You are bad because you are speaking like this to me. No, we don't have to do that. We have to know that I have a lot of baggage. I have so many things to improve on. So let me remain humble. Even though sometimes I may be corrected or somebody may be telling me something as if he is very exalted or whatever. Our mind may project like this. Our mind may think. Because our false ego does not want to accept a humble position of being a student, or being a disciple, or being being a learner. That humble position is sometimes difficult for false ego to accept. Because false ego says, you know everything. You are great. You don't have to hear anyone. Who is he to tell me? All these things false ego will say. So this battle is there. So we have to know that for my false ego is my enemy. My mind, which is contaminated by so many conceptions and false ego, that is my enemy. The devotee is not my enemy. You understand? So we have to actually understand that devotee is my well-wisher. So we have to tolerate that inconvenience, what comes. And it is not like devotees are all the time, bombarding us with instructions and all that. There a lot of encouragement also will come. So much of love will come, affection will come. That will naturally happen because Krishna will shower both, just like parents, just like doctor also. In hospital also, not like all the time doctors are putting injection after injection. They will come, there will be some nurses, they will, take care of your diet, they will get some nice fruits, whatever you may need sometimes. So you may be given some kind of facility where you can have some kind of comfort or whatever also. Like, correct? It is not that all the time you are put on the surgery only, continuously. It is not like that. But there will be time of surgery. There will be time of medication where you'll have to accept that pain. There will be time when doctor will come with injection. So you have to tolerate those points. But if you don't tolerate, we condemn the doctor only. You rascal! Who are you to put injection on me? Better you take care of yourself. You also have a sneezing. I saw you were also sneezing yesterday. So we cannot become angry like that. You understand? No? And the doctor also has to be tolerant. He cannot also become impatient because patient has become impatient. So doctor also has a thankless job to actually make sure that patient is getting well. So it's a very selfless cause to come in process of Krishna consciousness and getting helped by this Krishna consciousness process. So both patient has to be tolerant and he has to be eager to get treated. And doctor also has to be encouraging and also he has to keep doing his best like that. The worst thing can happen is the patient runs away. That's the worst thing. So that should not happen. The doctors have to take care that the patients don't run away. They will take care of all that. And patient also should know that I should not be too much egoistic that I should just give up the treatment and go away. Because then we'll never be treated. So this ISKCON is a very great hospital, where we can actually get admitted and tolerate the inconveniences, whatever is coming. But I am telling you, I'm assuring you, we will become better. Things will become very nice. Because as you become treated, we become nice. Same doctor, we will worship him like a dog, like a god. Like, Arey, you have saved myself. Like that. Yeah, because we have got treated. So we will not see all the pain which we got through injection and this. We will see him, oh, he helped me to have this state now, where I'm free from the disease. So this is a thankless, service what Guru does, what teachers do, what we get from the association of devotees. Like that. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't have to worry. We should not be discouraged. No, we should keep doing our best without keeping grudge, without keeping any negative feelings for any devotees. We should not judge them. We should rather give them benefit of doubt and understand they are my well-wisher. And just try to cooperate. You have to cooperate with the doctor. Otherwise, if you don't give confidence to the doctor, oh, treat me, then doctor cannot treat you also. Hey, why are you bringing pain? Then doctor becomes so, discouraged. He will think, I cannot touch his body only. He cannot take pain like that. Because little bit also you touch, he becomes disturbed. Little bit injection, he becomes disturbed. Little bitter medicine, he gets disturbed. He starts, speaking bad words to him. So what can the doctor do then? You're getting this point. So we have to also understand that, what is my position and for what I have come, and what is Krishna consciousness. The clarity has to be there. And then gradually we'll improve. And then we can be grateful for whatever corrections, whatever suggestions, instructions, guidance is given. We'll be very grateful to it. Some restrictions are there. So restrictions are also good. For patients, some restrictions are there. Eat this, don't eat that. These are good for us. Right? It is not to deprive us for something. It is actually to help us to become better. Parents may deprive, a doctor may deprive the patient from certain kind of food and all that. It is not to trouble the patient. It is to help the patient to become better. Same way in our Krishna Consciousness also, we may be given some kind of restrictions. Don't do this, don't do that. That is not to deprive us for something, not to make us feel low or something. It is actually to help us become better. So spiritually, you become better. Does it make sense to you?
I think so.
Yeah. Thank you. Let us pause here. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Sure.
Gaur Bhakta